Hey, it's Saya, and welcome back to Between the Cups. Today, we're joined by a member of the Saskatchewan royal family, His Royal Highness, Prince Donald.
Hiya!
Donald, would you like to share a little bit about yourself today?
I definitely would. I am officially a member of the Saskatchewan royal family alongside my mother, the Honorable Lady Amy, and my eldest brother, His Highness Prince Morgan. We are officially recognized as royalty by Saskatchewan Lieutenant Governor Russell Moracity during a gala ball held in February 2020. I have four main goals: to bring attention to Saskatchewan landmarks, cities, and cultures, to meet as many members of the public, to encourage their love of Saskatchewan, to see the future of Saskatchewan displayed more proudly on the world stage, and focus, depending on location, environmental and conservation efforts and youth leadership. I am also patron of Balfour's Pride, a North Balfour charity working to raise awareness for the LGBT here in the Balfours. Myself and my family will soon be announcing more initiatives, including a beautification project. During the month of June, which is marked as Indigenous History Month, myself and my mother and my eldest brother will be working on fundraisers which will be bringing awareness to missing and murdered Indigenous women.
So, with that, we're going to go into our first topic, which is, what does pride mean to you?
Well, I believe pride means standing tall with both your LGBT family and friends and allies. It's positive defiance to anyone who challenges our right to live, love, and succeed just as we are and without apology.
And that's a very, very good definition of pride. So that's all you have to say on the topic?
Yeah.
Alright, so we're just going to move on to our next topic, which is coming out. Would you like to share a little bit of your coming out with us?
Well, growing up, it was very hard for me. Myself and my family moved around a lot. We lived in many different cities and towns across Saskatchewan, many country towns that did not accept LGBT or, for example, Indigenous, which is very hard because I am both. It was very hard for me to accept who I was, and I didn't eventually come out until the age of 16, and it was very difficult because I wasn't able to come out to my family in person. I used Facebook. I used a Facebook post to tell everyone, including my own mother, that I was gay. And I think that was the hardest thing because I was so scared that they were going to deny me and not want to be my family. I was scared I was going to be disowned and never talking to again.
So you came out on Facebook? Like
Yeah.
in a post?
Yeah.
And how did your family react to that?
My mother was very open about it. She loved it. She said she will always love me and always has. And it was scary because I didn't think that's what she was going to say. But I always knew that she knew that I was gay and that she loved me. My brother, on the other hand, was more of a iffy topic because I know he was very, I wouldn't say sporty in high school, but very popular and hanging out with more of the popular jock type stereotype of kids that would bully the LGBT. So I was more scared that he wouldn't accept me, but he did, and he loves me and always has.
And how was coming out in the other areas of your life? Was it mostly just with the family? Or how did you come out to friends and stuff?
With the Facebook post. I came out with the Facebook post for everyone. No really close friends of mine even knew that I was gay or planned on doing it. I never told them because they were country kids. So I was still scared that they weren't going to accept me. which
And
they did.
they did? Okay. And so after that, you were just full out?
Full out, yep.
Wonderful. And so that's your whole coming out little story there? Oh, it's not that bad. Surprisingly, so far everyone who I've interviewed hasn't had anything truly horrible happen. Because you hear some pretty horrid stories when people come out.
Well, there's some. When it's not technically when I came out, but when I was in school here in North Battleford, I had these specific bullies that would call me names and put me down at school. I remember I was coming in from lunch one day, right in the front office there, and these two bullies called me a faggot really loudly. And our principal and the secretaries and the vice principal were standing all there, and I remember they didn't do anything, which was one of the hardest things for me, because they were standing there and they decided not to do anything about it, even though they heard it and watched it happen. Those same kids one day actually followed me home, and I remember I had to go up and down blocks, go around corners a couple times before losing them, and then going down the back alley, and that was terrifying because I didn't know what they were going to do. They had this big, massive lifted truck, and I was so scared they were going to just pick me up and take me with them, or beat me up or whatever. And I remember one day I was walking home, and I don't know who it was. I don't think it was the same bullies, but these people who knew who I was threw cans at me. They had empty pop bottles, pop cans, and they rolled down the window and they just chucked them at me and at my head, and I had to run home, and I was scared, and this was 4 years ago.
That is horrible.
It is, and it's
What
sad.
school did you attend? The comp or JP?
The comp.
Oh, that was a lot friendlier when I was there, but I was also a little more on the popular side, but that's because I was a very angry person. And so that kind of leads into our next topic here, which are what are some instances that had a big negative impact on you?
It would have been school. School would have been the worst one, because with what I previously stated, that it was hard for me to have any normal life, because I was scared I was going to get beaten up or most likely killed. I didn't know what was going to happen if they followed me home, or one day I just happened to be out and about in life and they just decided to hit me.
And so with that, would you say that even here in our own little community that our schools could do a lot better when it comes to supporting our own little community here?
I think so, yes. They could do a lot better than they did. I remember I used to go to the principal about things and they would never do anything about it, and it was just heartbreaking to see.
And so part of your goals is to start change with that and everything, right? So are you thinking about going to any of the schools specifically and talking to them about setting up some programs? Or
I have a couple engagements actually coming up that I'll be talking to students about what it's like to be LGBT in town and in the city and in the province, and to be on a platform like I am to be able to talk about it, and that would be very exciting. But projects I'd have to look into.
okay, and when you look into projects like that, are you looking to do them just in the Balfours here? Or are you also open to doing them in other parts of the province?
I would start off in town, start off in North Battleford here, and then eventually move out to the other towns and cities, especially the ones where I lived. That would be a lot easier for me.
And part of that's because we're large. Our province is mostly known for wheat farming, and we're a lot of small towns that have big separation. So, do you think that leads into any of the hard situations that, say, you or I had growing up, where we had very little visibility into the community. Because I know I had a lot of issues growing up because the only queer representation that I had were I bring them up every interview, but it's just the same horrible caricatures they used to have on like sitcoms and Family Guy and South Park.
Yeah. I think with us being mostly farm communities, it's harder because a lot of the farm kids didn't get much exposure growing up on the farms with the older grandparents that lived different ways and taught their children that, and then eventually passed down to the kids I went to school with. I don't think they were able to open up to it easy or at all because they would go home and they were surrounded by these anti-LGBT, anti-Indigenous families.
And so you keep bringing that up, Indigenous. Are you also going to work with getting our culture more widespread there?
Yes, very much so. Like I said, in June marks National Indigenous Month, and we have a couple engagements coming up. We will be most likely visiting the First Nations University in Saskatoon, as well as the Allensap Gallery here, and hosting a reconciliation powwow at the former government house up on Government Hill, which was a residential school at one point.
And for those that don't know, residential schools were these type of schools that, and those of us who are Indigenous were taken to against our wills, and we basically had our culture stripped from us, and we're taught the more, what word do you use for it?
Christian.
The more Christian way of living. Lots of us had our languages broken, our traditions removed, and that's why it's hard for a lot of natives today. Like, for instance, I have no idea anything about my culture. I barely even go to the reserve.
I know that my grandfather went to a residential school, and with that, we lost a lot of our heritage. But my grandfather, my mushum, was very open to teaching my eldest brother, Dene, one of the languages, which no one else in the family can speak except for my brother. He knows how to, he knows the words, he just doesn't know how to pronounce them or say them. He knows Dene, but he was taught Dene when he was younger.
And that's a problem that plagues one of the biggest problems that still plagues our community today is how large that still hurts and affects our community today, would you say?
Yeah. With it taking our cultures away, our languages, Dene, Cree, all of them, are now stripped and gone, and only about 10% of Indigenous know the languages or know how to say them. And we're slowly losing, with the elders slowly passing away here, we're losing the only heritage we have left, which they're taking the language with them because no one in the younger ages wants to learn it.
I know how to count to 10 in Cree, but that's because we learned it because I grew up in Meadow Lake, and it was a class there, so we learned how to count to 10 at least. But besides that, I maybe know the name of a few animals.
I know Dutch. I don't know any Indigenous language.
But it's even affected our elders. Like my grandma, when she was still alive, she was really bad especially when she would get mad, she would speak French, English, and Cree all in the same sentence while she was yelling at you.
Yeah, I didn't really know my mushum. Growing up, I didn't know my father, so we didn't really know like our mushum and stuff like that. So when my brother was younger, before I was born, my father was in the picture and his part of the family. So it was more Morgan being able to be taught Dene, and all these Indigenous things. And then once my father left, I was born, and I hardly was
You
able
didn't
to.
have the same...
I didn't have the same environment.
Yeah. Okay. So from there, we're going to hop right into the positive effect it had on your mental health.
Well, one of the positives, I think, with the royal family is, as a whole, we play a role in enhancing national unity. Members of the royal family, my mother and my brother, are able to recognize and participate in community and local events in every province and territory in Canada when we do eventually stretch out to them. So we go from opening new buildings to celebrations or acts of commemoration. And that has had a very positive impact on my health because I very much love my community, my country, and my province. And I think it's nice to be able to help when I wasn't able to help when I was younger. To be able to help the younger people know that there's someone out there like them, both LGBT and Indigenous. And I think that's very important.
Okay. And so you're hoping that this positive impact that it had on you, you're hoping to spread that to everyone else as well then, right?
Yes.
Okay, and are there any other positive impacts you got? Like any of the events we've already done? Have they had any effect on you? Or is there any instances that you'd like to share that were on the positive side as well? Alright, so with that, we're going to move into our last topic, I guess, which are some of the events you're looking into planning. So would you like to share some of those with us?
Well, I am officially hosting a Pride Garden Party in August. Over the course of 3 days, we will be hosting a massive garden party in our town of North Balford here. And we'll have music, dancing, a petting zoo, which will be very fun, fireworks, food trucks, all this type of jazz over the course of 3 days, obviously within COVID guidelines. I'm also planning on hosting another gala, and it will both be in person and over Zoom.
Okay, so it's going to be an event that's both live streamed on Zoom for anyone who wants to notice. So some of our guests might be from other countries. Would they also be invited to the event? Do they have to pay for the Zoom part, or will that be free for them?
The Zoom live stream will be free. And obviously in person there will be a price.
And so can you explain more how you want the garden party to go? Or the gala even? Like, do you have ideas for decor or themes even?
Well, the gala will be officially part of nature. And our theming will be towards more of the nature side, and we'll have live real trees, real flowers, and all these beautiful branches and unique centerpieces, all this type of stuff, and more nature vegan type courses for food.
So we heard a little bit about our Prince Donald today, part of the Saskatchewan royal family. We heard some of his coming out, what Pride meant to him, some effects that were both negative and positive on his mental health, and we heard about some of the events that he's working on in the future. So, Your Royal Highness, I would like to thank you for coming on the show today. It was a pleasure having you. And to my honored guests that watched the entire episode, maybe came and stayed only for a little bit, I thank you for coming and enjoying the show with us, enjoying a nice cup. And so, pinkies up. Have a great night.
Don't forget to like and subscribe as well.
Thank you.